Hello everyone, I know this is a bit different type of a video that I'm used to making. Normally I just post like clip dumps and stuff like that. But with the re-release of the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, I've been seeing a lot of tier lists being made. And having been a really avid like Battlefront 2 player from essentially 2007 to like 2014, and then again from like 2020 to like essentially now, I wanted to put my insight on these tier lists because a lot of them seem to be, I would say, misinformed. Just for example, I had seen one where they put Princess Leia at first in the Hero Assault tier list, and I probably couldn't be any more of the opposite. So that being said, I'll give a little bit of background on, I guess, why my insight is probably maybe more relevant. I've essentially been playing the game pretty competitively since 2007, again up until 2014. The game kind of died down a little bit after the GameSpy server shut down. But of course, we all know what happened in 2020, and because of that, the server kind of came back a little bit, or the community rather. And since then, we've been playing pretty on and off. It's had its it ebbs and flows, it has its waves. But even when we came back, you know, I was still, I'd say, a relatively better player, and I understand the competitive scene and Hero Assault. Of course, all this is coming from the perspective of a Force player, not a no Force player, because there's two ways to play Hero Assault. But so I will be giving you the perspective of a Force player on this tier list, so let's get right into it. So one just general disclaimer that I want to throw in here is I did already mention that I'm going to be viewing this tier list on the basis of being a Force player, but additionally on top of that, I am going to be viewing it on a vanilla game basis as if you were going into a server and just playing free play rather than the format that we use or like any type of mods or stuff like that where we turn like pull to push, etc. So this is going to be basically on a vanilla Force meta, I guess you could say. That's the perspective that I will be speaking about this tier list in. Alright, so getting into the tier list here, I am going to be just giving a brief explanation as to why I tier them the way that they do. I've already kind of messed around with it and kind of determined where I will tier them already, but let's just get into that. So quickly, we're just going to start here in D tier. We're going to start with, we're going to go Leia. Where does Han Solo go? Go Han, Chewbacca, into Grievous. Now, reason being, right to left does matter here. If I can get him, okay, I guess not. Okay, there we go. So the reason I'm going this route is basically all shooters are bad, especially the ones on heroes. In free play, they're just not strong. They don't stand any chance against somebody who has push or block. And the only reason Chewbacca ranks a bit higher, and not even higher, but just better than the other two, is just because he has a rocket that he can use that's remote, and you can kind of be a little bit annoying with it and maybe get kills. But aside from that, they're just not good. And then Grievous kind of falls into D tier as well because he has no Force abilities, so he's literally just the same as them, except he also happens to have lightsaber, so he can block things, but no Force jump and no Force abilities in that aspect, so it puts him pretty low down the tier list. Alright, so now moving into C tier, these are all going to be the people that actually have Force powers. I'm just going to kind of preface by saying that there's essentially just a handful of Force powers. So we start with Choke, that is going to be on par. It's going to be the villain's par of having Pull, such as how heroes have that. Those are going to be the S tier abilities. Then you've got Saber Throw, which is shared among about 50% of them. Force Push, again, also shared about by 50% of them. Those are going to be the like four major ones. Everything else is kind of considered pretty niche. That's why we kind of get into Kit Fisto and Dooku being in C tier, because Kit Fisto has the Force Orb and Dooku has the Lightning, both of which are not very strong. They're not very versatile. But to top that all off, Dooku's pretty slow as far as just movement speed goes, and then Kit Fisto just has a very not useful kit, to say the least. Dash attack, combo, all that is just not very good. Alright, so moving on now into the B tier. This is going to be the largest tier. It's going to be some movability throughout the rest of them, but I'm just going to go ahead and place them out where I think they should be right now, and then we'll kind of just go a quick rundown through them. You'll see that earlier I did mention that all the shooters were bad. Now, the reason I don't feel that way about the Fets is simply because they do have the jetpack, and that gives them, again, movement speed. Not just speed, but it just gives them movement, whereas the others just, they have no combat. Like, there's no combating any type of the Force running, and there's no gap closing. They can't do anything like that. Whereas Fets can actually kind of successfully get away from all that kind of stuff. But the rest, the only reason Yoda and Kiadi, even though they do have Pull, are in this tier is because their combos aren't very strong. Yoda's especially not being very strong, but he does have Push, so I feel like that makes him a little bit more useful. as opposed to just having a saber throw like Kiadi does. Again, the Emperor has Force Lightning, not very useful. And Asajj, she's just in a very niche place. Again, Starblade's very weird, but she does have block in her aerial attack, so that gives her a little bit of usability there. So that's why she can kind of make her way into the B tier, but maybe not necessarily the best in the B tier. So next we move into A tier. I'm going to go with Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, Anakin, and then Darth Maul. Now one thing I guess there's a commonality across all of these, right, is they have Force Push and Saber Throw. Aside from Anakin, he does have Choke. Now the reason, even though his Choke is as strong as it is, that he doesn't make it into S tier is because Vader makes it there. And so it's more of a relativeness, just because Vader is just a much stronger Anakin. And that being said, in most competitive formats, you won't be able to have more than one choker, so Vader will take that spot, which kind of pushes Anakin down a little bit. But aside from all of that, Anakin also has the exact same kit as Obi-Wan otherwise, same dash attack, same combo aerial, all of that. All of their combos are very easy to pick up. It's very forgiving. Like, it's hard for you to mess up in that sense, and in general, there's a lot more versatility and like even utility out of their kits rather than opposed to anybody below them. Alright, and making our way into the final S tier, we'll start first with Luke. Luke is the strongest hero, especially in competitive. Now, in the free play aspect, he is not simply because he doesn't have pool, but his kit, his versatility, he essentially has an infinite run. His one-hit aerial is super easy to hit. His combo's quick. He essentially can move around the map probably better than any of the other heroes. The only reason that I, again, have him slightly lower is just because Ayla over here, very strong, especially having pool. Her dash attack also has a block. She's just easier and a more safe pick. She's easier to pick up, much more forgiving. Her combo is just deals more damage. You're just not going to run into as many issues, and it's going to be a lot easier, especially in a free play, large play like environment. Like, she's just a lot safer of a pick. You could just pick people out of a group rather than trying to push them, or, you know, with push you're kind of going to have to get a little bit near the action, I guess you could say. Then of course on top of all of that, you've got Darth Vader. Darth Vader is S tier, best character in the game, simply just because of his movement speed. He's so fast, like he's going to set the tempo of the gameplay, especially in competitive play. You can either get in real quick, you can get out real quick. He has a really good aerial and dash attack. They're both super strong and deal a lot of damage, and they're quick animations. His combo could potentially leave a bit more to be desired, but it does still do enough damage to, you know, kill somebody in one combo. But again, like it could be a little finicky, but other than that, he has choke, and just simply because of his movement speed, it can make up for a lot of gap closing that is just not possible on other characters, especially Anakin, and that's why he makes his way into the S tier. He's just so oppressive to play against, and he's just so pretty much infinitely strong, and you know, with the right person, you can easily just totally control the game. It's, I guess I would say, unnoob friendly. It's very hard to play against, especially a very good choker. So he just easily makes his way to the top of the tier list, and he is by far, in my eyes, the strongest hero assault character. Overall, that about wraps up all my thoughts on this. I could go a lot more depth into the tier list. Initially, when I had recorded this, actually, I think it was well over 20 minutes because I just yapped on a little bit too much about all their abilities and a more in-depth analysis on why they did place where they did. I don't intend to release a longer video like that again, but if that's something that you guys want, you can leave a comment or something. Like, maybe I can do something like that if it's really gains enough traction. I could also do it from probably a more competitive aspect as well, so that would kind of definitely shake up the charts a little bit. But aside from that, that's something that you guys would let me know if that's something that you're interested in. All of that being said, I would say the final thing is, if you have any other questions, concerns, you want to learn more about the game, you want to play more Force, no Force, just anything Hero Assault related, we do run a Classic and a Classic Collection community here on Discord. You're more than welcome to join our servers, join the chat, try to either train with us, scrim with us. We do that stuff every day. There's a nice little community going that's still growing. And if you guys are interested in anything like that, I will link the Discord in the description, and I'll probably throw it up here on the screen as well, so that way you can join that if you want to.